Hey guys, I'm here with Gal Alguetti, and today we want to talk about table tennis style. So thanks for taking a couple minutes to talk.
Yeah, thank you.
So Gal developed into a solid 2500 player with one style, and then he changed styles, and then he developed years later into a 2650 level player. So I just want to take a couple minutes and talk to him a little bit about changing styles. So when you were 2500, when you were early teens, what kind of style would you describe that you played?
Yeah, so when I was really young, I was more of like a blocker.
Okay.
So did not really know how to attack very well.
Okay.
Was my coach. My first coach was he first initially wanted me to learn how to push.
Okay.
And then after pushing, of course, people attack. So I learned how to block.
Nice. Okay.
So that's how I guess the style originated. And then my dad used to get really angry at me. He said, "Look, you cannot only just push and block because your opponent will get ready. Like you have to have more variety to your game."
Right.
And that's when I tried it a little bit.
Yeah.
But still, I don't know, by 2500, it still remained as that style because I was able to, I guess, place the ball very well and use that. But later on, even at that, there's like a limit where you can get with just using very few like weapons, I call them, like just block, or push. I realized that I have to add more variety to my game and make it a little bit different.
Okay.
So that's when I realized that I gotta, attack and learn that.
So you developed into pretty much a 2500 player. You can do a lot of different things as far as looping, lobbing, serve return, but the bulk of the way you were winning points was from tactical pushes and then different types of blocks, maybe more active blocks, maybe more passive blocks. And this is really kind of what your game was structured around.
Right.
I remember being the unlucky recipient of many of your variation blocks. Very solid in blocking, but he got to a point in his career that he felt like he kind of hit a roadblock, like I'm only going to get so good with this style. So how long did it take you to change styles? And what kind of things did you add? Did you completely ditch the old style and implement the new, or did you feel like it was kind of a gradual change?
Yeah, so it was very difficult because while I was learning new things too, sometimes I tend to forget others. Like I don't know if you saw some matches when I played like champs.
Many matches.
Suddenly my blocks were going off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I definitely had to change a lot. The main thing was my footwork and starting using my feet, my waist, and learning how to the example that I always use as a role model was Kanak, for example, because Kanak a lot of times he stays very steady on the backhand, the forehand, but then when he needs to attack, he pivots. So I kind of use that as a role model for me and learn, okay, sometimes I'm going to block and use the old style, which is very good because I have to have variety to my game. But then whenever I need to like suddenly make a switch, I guess, style and then attack and be more aggressive. That way my opponent keeps guessing back and forth. So it was a huge struggle because I did have to learn how to incorporate my legs, my waist to my attack, which I didn't know how to do earlier.
Yeah.
But in the end, I guess I kind of incorporated it, and I'm still working on it, by the way.
Okay, so let's talk about our audience for a second here. Let's say we're talking to an adult, maybe an 18-year-old, a 25-year-old, maybe a 45-year-old, and they've got a particular playing style. They don't know for sure if they can change styles or not. I know it's different case by case, but is there any general advice that you would give for them as far as choosing to change styles?
Yeah, for sure. I would always tell them to watch like people, people that you admire, some good players, and then learn from them, see how they do it, because there's obviously things that you don't know and that you do and you're doing wrong. Like for example, for me was the footwork that I needed to improve. So you have to learn how to do it. But my advice is you always have to learn something new because you gotta keep adding new variations to your game. Because for me, I was very proud of reaching 25 by just pushing and blocking.
Yeah, for sure.
But I realized that this is very few weapons that I have, and without adding more like additional things to my game, I'll never be able to further improve.
Right. Okay, good. And to completely change style from one style to the next. Let's say we're talking to somebody who's primarily using pushing and blocking, and they want to implement more to an offensive level style with attacking and smashing and everything else. So how long would you estimate that it's going to take to be able to make these changes? Are we talking days or weeks or months or years? What are we talking?
No, I would say probably a year or two because you have to compete a lot. It definitely takes like time because once you learn it to in practice and tournaments is different under the pressure, under different players.
Yeah.
So it definitely takes some time. It's not something that's going to come like in a week.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point that you said, is playing tournaments. A lot of times people think that, hey, I'm going to change my style in my basement or with my coach or whatever, and then 2 years later, I'm just going to waltz into the tournament and implement it. So I think, as Gal's saying, it does take some time not just to develop the style, but also to have kind of the guts to use it in tournaments. And temporarily, sometimes it doesn't feel nice to implement new things, because maybe you would lose some matches that you would normally win.
Yeah.
But ultimately, like you said, it's got to be something you got to be able to implement in tournaments.
Yeah.
All right, Gal, thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you.
And to those of you that are watching, like I said, sometimes you're going to change your style, sometimes you're going to keep the same style. Just try to have a long-term perspective, realizing that the long-term development of your game is more important than the short-term. So try to develop a style that's going to help you out long-term, and don't be too sensitive or fragile when you play tournaments. Realize that some tournaments are more practice tournaments to kind of get you ready for the end goal. I'm Samson Vina. Thanks for watching.